What up, what up, what up? This is Mike the Philosopher here with another one. This one, he's cheating with our employees, part 2. Okay? As promised, I said we're going to get to part 2. Here it is. Without further ado, let's go in.
What brings us to court today, Mrs. James?
He's constantly lying. He does not answer the phone. And I feel like the things that he's doing are now a liability.
Give me the evidence.
There was one night that I'm calling his phone constantly, calling. He's not answering. Now it's 3 a.m., he finally answers the phone. He said to me, oh, hey, we're all just hanging out, and, you know, it's a couple girls over here, and they're... Exactly. I can't be that crazy.
So, yeah, I was there at 3 a.m., but the situation is, you know, I told her what was going on, you know? Not like she had to find out through the
Wait. What prevented you from, at about 11 o'clock, calling her and saying, I don't want you to wait up, but I'm okay, I'm over at Joey's house?
Well, I mean, the only thing that prevented me from that was a few beers, you know, just having a general good time.
And you forgot that you were married?
And like about 2 seconds later, he butt dials me. And what I actually heard was him and another woman. I knew that they were having sex, or they had just had sex.
This happened way before we was married.
Every time he does something he's not answering, I go back to that moment.
So how can we fix that? Because that's your wife. I understand there was an issue that was for real, the issue with the nanny. What's going on with this nanny?
So this is really honestly the final straw for me. It went from a female being hired at the shop to now him thinking that she could be the nanny, which I didn't have a problem with. But then I started looking at their relationship, and a lot of things made me uncomfortable. Like I said, my intuition does not lie.
She worked at the shop at first.
Yes.
And then she transitioned into nanny?
Yeah, she did.
What was her experience having taken care of a baby before?
I really went off of my husband of what he told me. He basically buttered me up to this girl. Oh my gosh, you would like her. She reminds me of you. And that already was a red flag. When somebody, your husband or your boyfriend says that somebody reminds you of them, I'm already looking, I'm skeptical. Because nobody's me, first of all. But I seen their relationship. It was a separate thing from a full relationship with us as husband and wife. They had their own separate relationship.
What do you mean by that?
They would text each other. I always catch them having like secret whispering conversations in the house.
Why would the nanny be just texting your husband? Shouldn't that, I mean, isn't it a parent?
Well, first of all, Your Honor, it's not that we're texting, you know? As a nanny, there's certain instructions that I have to leave with her.
I know, but don't y'all,
she makes it hard for the female to text her because she, you know, our nanny,
I feel like that's
she's
his
already
job.
feels uncomfortable by the vibe that she gives our nanny, you know? She already feels like she's on eggshells everywhere around the house.
This is my house. I don't know what type of eggshells. You better be on eggshells. You might lose your job tomorrow.
I get it,
but
but
one thing I do think is that as the man and him knowing her prior, he has to arrange that. I don't want to come and overextend myself after already having situations where the girls actually like you.
I'm trying to end the solution. I'm going to be solution-based. Like, okay, she's already low-key scared of you. Let me handle it.
But Mr. James, wait, why would you even want all this in your house?
Right.
Because I'm just questioning.
You know, we have a newborn baby.
Don't y'all understand? Wait, hold on. Parents, you have a phone, and the nanny that's gonna take care of the baby has a phone. Why wouldn't you all be on a group text?
Thank you.
Talking about the baby. That's all. I want to be clear about that.
Again, now we're having a side conversation.
They're having their own
The nanny is already in fear of in some sort of her. She already feels uncomfortable. It's more like she's doing me a favor when I'm trying to do things for us to go out. You get what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make plans for us to go out and put someone in place. But, you know, so instead of trying to force a situation that doesn't look like it's gonna work and blow up even more, let me be the husband and, you know, articulate with her.
How did it turn out?
Bad. It turned out with me a couple of situations. I seen them leaving off together one time. We were at the dance studio, and we were practicing. We had a show coming up. I look to my right, they're there. I look away, I look back, the both of them are gone and the baby's still there. So I asked her and I said, so where did CJ go? Where did he go? One of the dancers, they said, oh, he left with the nanny. I was like, okay, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. And I called him, I said, this is exactly what I'm talking about, this separatism. Why isn't she here with the baby? Why do you have to drive off with her to wherever you guys went? I don't even know what the story was. I just felt uncomfortable and I didn't like it. And I feel like sometimes that should be enough for him to wake up and move differently. Like, put us in a group chat. let us have a conversation with each other. Let us really get to know each other. Make the situation comfortable for me and not make it comfortable for the nanny. Who is that? She could come and go tomorrow.
Well, I'm gonna say this first of all, Your Honor. Our nanny's actually here today to properly explain herself. But even with the situation that she's talking about, I actually tried to notify her that, the nanny actually had an emergency that she had to tend to really fast and she needs to get there really quickly. So I left and I took her.
What happened to the baby?
There with me,
the baby.
everybody else
We own a
that
dance studio. There's a lot of hands, a lot of help. So it wasn't even a far trip. She had to go
But that's
grab
the problem.
something.
Now I have to work
and I have to bring it
while
back.
also attending to make sure the baby is good. That's why the nanny is there. I shouldn't have to pass them off to
I told her
my
where we
friends
would
or
go.
pass them off
She
to
just
other
don't call
dancers.
here, Your Honor.
I'm
kinda on
so
her.
glad that the nanny in question is able for us to join. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems a little suspect. You don't leave a baby, man. If the nanny got an emergency, you take the baby with you, and you drive the nanny where she gotta go. I'm sure you got a car seat in your car. Why couldn't you take the baby? You could argue that the baby is probably safer, at the dance studio, but if your wife is busy dancing or doing whatever, preparing for a show, she probably can't have eyes on the baby at all times. So you should take the baby with you in the car. There's no situation where you should be driving off with the nanny and leaving the baby with your wife. I wouldn't say no situation. It's just not a good look, especially when you know that your wife feels a certain type of way. I'm sure she made her feelings known about the nanny long before this incident happened. So you should have been moving a certain type of way. It don't look like he's giving a whole lot of respect to his wife's feelings. And I talked about this in a previous episode. Men got to get better at knowing their wives' feelings, because we kind of suck at that. We kind of suck at reading emotions and reading feelings. Some will say this is pretty common sense, but maybe with my experience and everything, I'm aware of these things a little bit more than some maybe younger people. But you just got to get, men in general, we just got to get better at reading our woman's emotions and feelings, and validating them when they need validation. Otherwise it could just cause a whole lot of confusion, unless you're really creeping, and then you got a whole different set of problems. Anyway, let's go back in.
Right?
Yes.
And Robert, will you please ask the witness to join us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hell boy.
Because that way, she and I can have a conversation. Hi there.
Hi.
Please tell me what your name is.
My name is Diamond Glenn.
Oh, I love your first name.
Thank
I
you.
love that. Somebody with a name like Star, I love an inanimate object type name. Ms. Glenn, tell me what's the nature of your relationship with the litigants?
Okay, so I met them working at their clothing store that they own together. I worked there for about 6 months before I was approached by Mr. James to be their nanny, and I did that for about 3 or 4 weeks before it went sour and I was terminated by Mrs. James.
Okay. So I have to ask this. Did you have any kind of intimate relationship with Mr. James?
Absolutely not. I do not mix business with pleasure, and that's why this whole situation is kind of off-putting, because I make sure to carry myself and do that. So when going through something like this, I'm just completely bewildered with the treatment that I received.
Okay, so are you saying that Mrs. James did not treat you fairly?
So being a woman, I understand what kind of dynamics can exist in relationships, but I just feel like there was a lot of things that jumped to the gun, a lot of emotions that went way high.
I feel like a lot of times, as a woman, she could have stepped up or stepped to the side and not done certain things, maybe asked to be in a group chat with me so she wouldn't feel, like he said, uncomfortable or afraid. with those things from woman to woman, then you should have just done them.
What happened the night you were fired?
It was pretty late. They came back like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Mr. James, he was asking me about the baby, and we were kind of whispering, and she just comes past and is like, what is y'all whispering about? What are y'all doing? Just jumping down our throats.
I didn't jump out and just ask him, what are you whispering about? I can't, that sounds crazy.
And that's why I was a little bit offended, because genuinely, I'm not worried about Mr. James at all.
So I'm actually gonna be devil's advocate here for a second.
Yeah.
Before she be devil's advocate here, I'm gonna say this. I think that the wife's, I think she probably has a little guilt about how she got him. You know, she figured, look, if I can steal him, I know some other women can probably steal him from me. So I'm going to, in case y'all didn't watch the first episode, she stole this guy from another woman. And when she stole him, they both were dating other people, and they used to double date with these other people. Well, they dumped the people they were with and they hooked up with each other. So I'm thinking that now she's feeling a little guilty about that, feeling a certain type of way, and now she don't want that karma, that boomerang to come back on her. So I think that's where a lot of her insecurities coming from. This chick said she ain't worried about Mr. James at all. Nice looking chick too. The nanny is nice looking, so I can see how she could be a threat. Nice skin, love the skin. Hair, I don't know if that's all hers. I don't think it's all hers, but very nice looking chick. Very nice looking chick, so I could see how she could be a threat. But yeah, the wife is probably a little neurotic with this whole jealousy thing and thinking every woman is after her man. And I think that's due to the guilt of how she got him in the first place. Let's go back in.
Miss Glenn, if I'm gonna walk into another woman's home,
Yes.
the last thing I want is for her to feel some kind of way about me.
Yeah.
So I have this sort of reputation, Robert will tell you. I make friends with the wives of my boys. It's actually,
Exactly.
Everybody knows that is who I am.
I understand that.
Very good friends with their wives. You want me to tell you why? Because I don't ever want to have no mess. I don't like mess. I can't stand mess, okay, at all. And I've never been involved in any for that reason. So I'm always closer to their wives. So, just for your own self-preservation, it might be cool to, when you're walking in a situation like that, is to say, okay, Ayana, why don't you and I roll over to Houston's real quick
We tried.
and have a drink so I can see how you like things done in your house, because I'm rolling in your house.
Yeah.
So that's the
That
kind
would
of
have made me
thing.
feel comfortable.
Because then you establish a relationship with the woman of the house.
Yeah.
And then the second thing, and this is the most important, I'm gonna give you this little piece of advice. You never need to be on a private chat with another woman's husband. Not when you're working inside her house. Because that's never gonna make her feel confident. It's just not.
Yeah.
And I have all kind of male friends, okay? And I'm gonna tell you something. You could ask Robert right now. Unless it has directly to do with what time we coming to work here, I know his wife like a sister, but she on the group chat. Am I lying, Robert?
Not at all.
Thank you very much.
And I understand.
Unless Robert is texting me directly about something has to do with this job, he on a group chat with my husband. And that's his boy. But that's just the way we do it. Because we don't like no mess.
Yeah, going forward, I will do that because this whole experience was a lot. And to be honest, we tried, we had bonding sessions. I sat where I've done her hair. We tried, but I think that, to be honest, this issue is bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was a little bit offended, because genuinely, I'm not worried about Mr. James at all.
What happened the night you were fired?
Okay, so the night that I was fired, they had came back. It was pretty late. They came back like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and Mr. James, he was asking me about the baby. So I'm like, okay. I'm telling him what happened, and we were kind of whispering, and she just comes past and is like, what is y'all whispering about? What are y'all doing? Just jumping down our throats. And it was kind of awkward because I'm trying to tell about what happened at the night with the kids, what went on. So after that, I was kind of uncomfortable, but like you said, I don't want to step on her shoes. This is her house at the end of the day.
I didn't jump out and just ask them, what are you whispering about? I kind of, that sounds crazy. So I basically went over there and said, what are you guys talking about? Like, what's going on with the baby? And they have their separate things.
How's your intimacy life together?
I mean, right now, it's kind of non-existent with everything that's going on.
I just feel like no matter what I try, everything's always wrong.
You have to work harder to make sure that your wife feels secure. And let me be real clear. You need to hire an abuela, the hunchback kind with the little pimple right here and the black hair coming out. Talk to me about the dynamic of that night.
So
You all were having a private conversation.
yeah, so, but I wouldn't even say it was private. If she would have came in and approached it properly, it wouldn't have been an issue. But because she came in the room already suspicious, that's why I went left.
So I'm just worried about something, though. Miss Glenn, if you're updating on the baby, why did you update the couple? That's all I want to know.
Well, at the time, he's the one that asked. She didn't ask. If they were both in a room and they were asking me, I would have. It was just him. He asked
It was
me.
late.
He came
the
to
baby
me.
was, sleeping. Didn't want to make too much noise. So just a quick debrief. It's supposed to be over. Good night. But
But then it went left.
Yes, it went left when Ayana came in the room asking questions. Can you imagine when you're not doing anything and somebody is like asking you something in an accusatory like tone? And to be honest, I still didn't even act the kind of way because I know perception is everything. I'm a woman. I know how it feels to be in that kind of situation. So I didn't even say anything. So after that, I asked him for a ride home. So he said yes. He's always a gentleman. He always
Now you
takes me
asked for a
home.
ride home.
I mean, like, I needed to get home. Is there an issue with me asking for a ride home?
Uber and just get out of the whole situation. I'll Uber home.
honestly, me,
And she
I'm
lives
old school,
she
Your Honor.
lives literally a block and a half, like, away from us.
Your Honor,
But it's
I'm old
2, 3
school.
o'clock in the
I
morning.
was raised that, to take a young lady home. It's late at night, anything can happen. You want to make sure you see her getting in her door, and before you pull off.
You know what, Miss Glenn? I trust that you did absolutely nothing wrong. I trust that. Okay? You don't even come across like a young lady that would. Okay? But I'm old school too. The nanny coming into my house can't look like you. I'm biased. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm gonna give you my bias right here. Folk could be mad at me if they want to. But the nanny coming in my house, she gonna have a hunchback, look like an abuela, look like Witchy Poo, with a little bump right here and a black hair coming out of her chin. That's
Listen,
serious.
I
what
agree.
The nanny gonna look like coming in my house. And I know the women on my jury, I know y'all feel the same way. So y'all just go ahead and don't be thinking I'm the only one. Thank you. I know I'm not the only one. And I know you didn't do anything wrong, okay? I know you didn't, and I don't want you to be a part of this, and I want to make it very clear, because this is a public forum, that you acted honorably and professionally, and I think you would probably be an asset in any employment that you get in the future.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And to be honest, with what I see, I wouldn't be surprised if the nanny, the old nanny, was running out of there too. Okay, at some point.
Wow, okay. But
I'm just
Mr.
saying that it's
Wow.
just
Okay.
Miss
Thank
James,
you very much.
I'm not going to blame you for not being comfortable in your own home.
Okay.
I'm not, because I think you have every right to not be comfortable in your own home. And I understand that you all have faced a crossroads. What have y'all tried to do to fix it?
I brought divorce papers basically because the crossroads is either he moves differently and figures out how to make me feel secure as his wife and the person that takes care of his kids and the person that owns businesses with him.
How's your intimacy life together?
It's I mean, right now it's kind of non-existent with everything that's going on. We're always hearing it. I feel like we see each other for 4 hours at the nighttime, and that's like 2 hours to eat, and then the other 2 are like probably to watch TV on our way to sleep. You know what I mean? So we barely or rarely get to.
Y'all are a
spend time.
young couple.
I know.
You know,
and we're working.
It's not my fault,
all the
Your Honor,
time.
just so you know. I just feel like no matter what I try, everything's always wrong.
Mr. James, you have to work harder to make sure that your wife feels secure and trusts you.
You
Because
understand?
honestly, your behavior, I'm going to say, I trust that you have not been cheating.
Appreciate that, Your Honor.
I trust that you have not been cheating.
And Your Honor,
But
that's
I
why
don't
want a
trust
divorce.
that you have been acting in an honorable way. You know the difference?
Exactly.
Because Being honorable is not about cheating. It's about being respectful.
Yes.
And if you know that because of whatever has happened in your past, you've left her with a level of insecurity, the way you're going to rebuild that trust is to give her that security.
The only problem is, I don't think that trust can be restored. I know he slipped up before they got married. And he was getting out of an old relationship. The chick that she stole him from, he was still trying to exit that situation, but slipped and fell in some trim. You know, it just is. It happens. But that situation seemed to have broken the trust in them. But the ironic part is she forgave him and they still got married. So part of me is like, if you didn't trust him, why did you marry him? Okay? If you didn't trust him at that time, why did you still marry him? Was it because he was a part of all of these businesses and you wanted to be that wife? And now all of a sudden that you're that wife, you're so scared that somebody else can steal him away from you now? Like, and now you want a divorce and all this other stuff? It's just like, if I'm him, I'm like, for all of that, we shouldn't have never got married. You shouldn't have married me if you wasn't over that situation. We shouldn't have never got married. You should have told me that you wasn't over that. I'm not doing nothing to build up all of your insecurities. I'm not doing nothing like that. I was out with my boys. We was drinking. Yeah, it was late, but I was enjoying myself. The nanny, that's not a situation. The employees, everybody, all these ladies is feeling heat from you, and it's not his fault. It's not his fault. You're firing employees left and right. He can't get nobody at the shop. He can't get nobody as a nanny. He can't get nobody anywhere because his wife is so insecure. And his wife is so insecure, but she still married him. So whose fault is it really? At this point, whose fault is it? Is it his or is it hers? Put it in the comment. I'd be interested to know, because the way I think about it, I don't know. I think she's I'll keep it to myself. Let's go back in.
What are you prepared to do to stave
forward?
off the divorce? You've got to say what you're prepared to do.
I'm prepared to listen, to learn, to love, and anything else that she deems
You need to
necessary.
tell her, I'm not
I'm
married
here to
to you.
listen, to learn, to love, and, to show you that I appreciate you, and I hear everything that you're saying. And, hopefully that you can see that within me and see that I love you, and, we can move past this. I know we can.
You need to be prepared to pick up your phone when your wife calls.
Listen, that's very true.
You don't need to call every minute of the day either, Miss James.
Okay.
But when she
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I would have to say the guy really sucked at making her feel more comfortable. Okay, like I said before, men kind of suck at that when it comes to women and their emotions and reading emotions and stuff like that and knowing what to do. He should have been like, look, let's do a group chat so my wife feel more comfortable. Let me call my wife at 3 a.m. so my wife feel more comfortable. He don't have his wife in the front of his mind. He always got his wife in the back of his mind. I don't know if that's because they got all these businesses and they work a lot of hours. I don't know, but he needs to do a better job at making her feel more secure. Obviously, she's feeling insecure and probably has a good reason to, you know, especially if you're not doing simple things to make her feel secure. She probably will be over it if he would have moved a little differently, you know. So he has some liability in this. I'm gonna call it 50-50, really. I'm gonna call it 50-50. The way he moves is very suspect. He always hiring all these cute chicks to work for him. That's suspect. And the way she responds is very suspect. And her insecurities and how she even got him is all of that is suspect. And how he got her too. He did the same thing. But I'm going to call it 50-50. And I'm going to call it they need counseling, because I want to believe that counseling can fix this. And I think counseling probably can fix this, but only if he learns how to move like a husband instead of like an entrepreneur, instead of like a boyfriend, instead of like a single guy, instead of like a businessman, like he needs to move like a husband. And maybe he needs to sit down with a husband who can school him on how to be a husband. Okay. I sit him down. I'll be like, look, dude, you're doing this all wrong. You got to know how to make your woman feel more secure. Okay. If she's feeling insecure about this and she obviously giving you warning signs and things like this, then you got to make this situation feel better. Say, look, I know how my wife is, so I'm going to do this to make her feel more secure. That's if he wants to save this marriage. That's another question. Is it worth saving? Y'all put it in the comments, because sometimes when people get too insecure, it ain't no coming back from it. It ain't no coming back. And I want to know how far down this rabbit hole she is, because if she is she at the point of no return? I know she already done signed or got some divorce papers. Is it too late? I don't know. I think it's worth saving, especially if they got a child together. I think it's worth saving, but he got to learn how to move like a husband, and she got to relax and trust her husband a little bit more. I'm kind of rooting for them to get the counseling and make some corrections. Let's go back in.
She calls, you need to pick up the phone.
I'll be fine with that. I'm fine with that. I won't harass your line, but when I do call you, you have to answer the phone, or else I'm gonna think all of these things.
And go back to that dark place that we don't want her to go to.
Exactly.
And let me be real clear. You need to hire an abuela, the hunchback kind with the little pimple right here and the black hair coming out.
Well, everyone out there, I'm looking for one, so please put me in the right direction.
Okay? Because we're not trying to have the beautiful nanny.
The hot
You don't
nanny.
need all that.
Hold on.
Sorry,
man.
it's a
She
bias.
just-
All the beautiful nannies out there
just
that's
looked-
mad at me right now.
The hot
You don't
nanny.
need all that.
She looked just so adorable right there. Let me see that again.
We're not trying to have
She looks so adorable right there. Looks so adorable. He should go hug and kiss his girl, man, and just, do right by her, man. She obviously loved this dude. Look at, she got hearts in her eyes. Looks very adorable right there. Anyway, let's go in.
the beautiful nanny.
The hot
You don't
nanny.
need all that. Sorry, it's a bias. All the beautiful nannies out there that's mad at me right now. Sorry. But y'all can't come up in the crib. Sorry.
I mean, with what you've said, honestly, a lot of times that's just what I want to hear. Instead of you pointing to me being insecure, or instead of you just saying I'm insecure, or this wasn't that, or this was, I would rather you just, you know, confront my emotions and make them, because they're valid.
I understand.
And it's important for our relationship and for our marriage to move on, for you to, you know, listen to me and us to work through those things. And I really think you're capable, CJ. I do. And that's why I'm just gonna rip these right up, because this is not even, I feel like this is something that we really could work on with just talking to each other.
I feel the
and
same.
getting through it.
I'm glad you ripped those papers up. I think you all do have a shot at it. I really and truly do. Mr. James, you've got to treat Mrs. James with the love and respect of a wife. That's what you have to do. You're no longer dating her. You're no longer transitioning out of a relationship. You are dead in a relationship.
I'm saying she got a little bump back there too. That's somebody else's wife. Let me calm down.
Now, and it's a marriage.
Locked in for life.
Okay, you took vows.
Yeah.
And like I said, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Don't let my trust be mistaken, okay?
Oh, it won't happen.
And put an ad in the paper for an abuela.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
And there you have it. From this couple, Ayana and CJ. What do y'all think? Y'all heard what I think about this already. I'd be interested to know, did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? What am I missing? All right, put it in the comments. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.